Now, New York's #1 news. Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Powerful and deadly spring storms moving through the tri-state like a freight train tonight. Strong winds, rain, even hail.
And new tonight, we're learning about the 3 victims of these storms. 1 death in the Orange County town of Newburgh, 1 in Danbury, Connecticut, and the 3rd in nearby New Fairfield.
We have dramatic new video tonight showing the widespread damage left behind. Crews in Brooklyn cleaning up the trees that came down. This is in Park Slope.
And we have this new video tonight from Glendale, Queens, where downed power lines were literally exploding.
In New Jersey, the storm ripping down power lines as if they were threads. Live wires sparking a fire and damaging several cars. We'll check in with meteorologist Lee Goldberg in a moment. He tracked these before and while they moved through.
But first, our team of reporters covering the damage and the cleanup. We begin with Eyewitness News reporter Jim Dolan, live in Newburgh. Jim?
Well, Sade, just take a look. Newburgh is a mess tonight, a mountain of debris here on the ground. All of this stuff came flying in off of a roof. In fact, some of it is the roof of a building here, or was, I guess. And a power cable snapped, a tree snapped in half, and it all landed on this truck and crushed it. It was a brief but monstrous storm, and it claimed the life of an 11-year-old girl. The tree crushed the car just as a mother and daughter were about to get out and go into the house. The mother was not seriously hurt, but her 11-year-old girl died from her injuries. The storm, ferocious and frightening, seemed to pass as quickly as it came.
Oh, the tree came down and it was crushed. The firemen were there with a jaws of life, cutting the car out and trying to immobilize, trying to get the tree off the car so they get the body out of the car and stuff like that.
In some parts of Newburgh tonight, the flashing yellow lights were about the only ones that were working. Power was out for more than 80,000 people as the wind ripped off roofs and sent them flying into the streets. And in one case,
it looks like someone bit the building.
The roof got torn off the building and flew all the way across the street where it landed in a field. It left the streets a minefield of exposed nails and other dangerous debris. Joanna was at home with her friend Ileana.
It's like this big flash of lightning and all the electricity turns off and we're all freaking out and everything.
It was kind of scary because all I hear is that, but then I was scared that something was going to happen to her house.
Power cables flew from utility poles and snapped like twigs. They sparked for a time before they were finally turned off. That power is going to be pretty important to residents and business owners like Jody Cummings.
I'm hoping they get it fixed. I'm just, where do they even start? So,
where do they even start in this huge mess they have right now? Again, 80,000 people without power here in Newburgh tonight. It'll be a while before they get the lights turned back on here. Reporting live from Newburgh, Jim Dolan, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Okay, Jim, thank you. Well, the storm moved in quickly and did its damage even quicker. Today's warm and sunny day turned into a dark and stormy evening. Meteorologist Lee Goldberg tracked every move the storm made and joins us with more. Lee?
Well, Sade, it was just a classic setup. You had a sharp cold front crashing into this surge of summer warmth. Many areas were approaching 90 degrees during the early afternoon. Here came the front with the thunderstorms, and we're 25 degrees colder as we go into the overnight hours. And what a path of damage across the area. These are all various reports, from tornado reports to wind damage. The tornado report was in Eldred, Sullivan County. Jim talked about all the damage around the Newburgh area and reports of twisted trees in Balmville. So the Weather Service likely to survey these areas to see if it was a tornado there. Tappan Zee, look at that 67-mile-per-hour gust. Trees down in Manhattan, in the Bronx, in Brooklyn, in Queens, all over the 5 boroughs as well. Then as the storms moved south and east, you had Port Washington seeing trees down, 1-inch hail in Freehold, and then a late report of some pretty good winds knocking down a shed in Forked River. Now, yes, the severe weather threat is over, but there's still some steady rain to the south, and the front is kind of stalling to our south, leaving bouts of heavy rain moving into southern Ocean County. So there still is a flash flood watch, and that's going to be going till about 2 a.m. There still may be a few showers left over as we go into the morning hours on Wednesday. But the big deal is we are certainly on the cool side of this front, and it looks like we're getting wetter for a while. Your 7-day AccuWeather forecast, it's just a few minutes away. Bill and Jade?
All right, Lee, we'll see you in a few minutes. The timing of today's storm, perfectly timed and hitting hard right as many people were heading home. This is what it looked like in Saugerties in Ulster County. Thousands of people forced to just stand around Grand Central Terminal because Metro North had suspended service. All of its service. So will it be ready for the morning commute? It's a lot of work to make that happen. Eyewitness News reporter Josh Einiger with that part of our coverage. He's live at Grand Central. Josh?
And Bill, we do have some new information about the morning rush, and I'll get to that in a second. But first of all, this place, Grand Central Terminal, was jammed in a way that few people had ever seen. It took only a few minutes to be packed that way, hours to clear out tonight. Still some issues with service, specifically on the Harlem line, but anything's an improvement over this evening's mayhem. From above, they looked like ants.
It's just warm, it's crowded, it's uncomfortable.
A swarm of humanity that stretched as far as the eye could see.
I've never seen anything like this.
More than 25,000 hapless commuters were marooned at Grand Central tonight with nowhere to go.
I was like, what's going on? How many people are trying to get away from the rain?
Nope, they were just trying to get home when the line of storms passed at the worst possible time.
You had a very brief, intense moment of very, very high wind.
Those winds toppled who knows how many trees, which in turn blocked tracks on not one, not two, but all three Metro North lines, even damaging the third rail in spots. And so the nation's third busiest commuter railroad pulled the brakes. Here in Mount Kisco, people had to wait for buses to get home. And back at Grand Central,
there's only so many people I can fit in here.
At one point, the MTA blocked access to the terminal altogether until finally the announcer called a train, a single Stamford train at first, and they packed him in.
I am pleased that we were up and running in an hour and 10 minutes.
MTA Chairman Joe Lotus says that's relatively quick thanks to work crews in place ahead of the storm who got to work immediately. And by and large, given the heat, the frustration, the overloaded cell phone network, in the midst of it all, people were pretty patient.
You know, you can't be frustrated. You just got to just wait it out like everyone else.
And back live, biggest problems are still with the Harlem line with limited service north of White Plains and no service still north of Mount Kisco. Crews are working through the night to get this stuff back up and running. The MTA says it'll have updates all night, and we will have the very latest on conditions on Eyewitness News this morning starting at 4:30. We're told to expect cancellations and combinations, but at least there will be service, which is a huge step in the right direction. We're live at Grand Central tonight. Josh Einiger, Channel 7, Eyewitness News.
Yeah, that's good news, Josh. Thank you. Now we go to Eyewitness News reporter Lucy Yang in Hawthorne, New Jersey, with a look at the damage left behind there. Lucy?
Well, Shawty, all I can say is thank goodness for wood chippers. We're on 11th and Raymond here in Hawthorne, where you can see there is no rest for tree cutters and utility crews as they race to put New Jersey back together again.
The storm was fast and furious. It came quickly, left quickly, and wreaked plenty of havoc in between, taking down power lines, triggering flames. This was the scene on Route 46 in Clifton, New Jersey, as captured by a motorist.
Holy smoke!
Lush, matured trees, top-heavy with leaves, were especially vulnerable in the blast of wind. They fell like dominoes. In Glen Rock, in Hawthorne, even the rabbit came out to investigate. In Patterson, on East 24th Street, this tree came crashing onto a three-story home, leaving a gash on the side of the house and the residents scrambling for shelter.
Because you can see the wind come across the mountain, and as soon as I got on my porch, I closed the door, and I heard whoosh, and I'm like, what was that? I looked out my window and I saw my garage crushed.
Here in Mahwah, a neighbor's giant tree toppled onto Al Valisi's backyard garage. Inside were his prized possessions, his one-of-a-kind 1963 Chevy Nova, a show car worth about $100,000, I'm told. Not a scratch on it. Tonight, crushed like a soda can.
This was the car that was going to win the shows this year. It's gorgeous.
Also destroyed his Harley. The silver lining here, Al had just finished working in his garage before the winds took off and thankfully was not hurt.
It's a good thing I wasn't in here when it started to rain.
Now, Al tells me his car had barely 400 miles on it. The most he dared to drive it was around the block, and now crews are working around the clock to make sure everyone else can get around the block come morning time. You can see crews right now cleaning up the mess after Mother Nature. We're live in Hawthorne, New Jersey. I'm Lucy Yang for Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Yes, indeed, Lucy. Thank you. Well, as the storm moved through today, we were on the air and at ABC7NY with updates. And one way we were able to tell the story was with all the photos sent in as the storm was at its worst. And then once the storm moved through, we were able to get a glimmer of a sunset.
Now, the other news of this Tuesday night, dramatic video showing flames shooting out a home in New Jersey. That fire starting just after 5 tonight at a 2-story home in Waldwick. Officials say one person was hospitalized with critical injuries. We're told by witnesses that neighbors tried to rescue that person. The cause of the fire, not known.
Tonight, a $10,000 reward is now being offered for information leading to an arrest in the murders of 2 next-door neighbors in Brooklyn. The victims were found in the Bushwick houses just days apart. On Friday, officers found a 62-year-old with her hands tied and a gunshot wound to the head. On Sunday, police discovered a 54-year-old man dead with several gunshot wounds to the torso. Police say they may have been killed on the same day.
A massive eruption of the Kilauea volcano on the Big Island of Hawaii today. A stack of ash towering up to 4,000 feet high as it blackened the sky, and geologists now say this may be only the beginning. This comes as new warnings about the 20 fissures that have already cracked open the island. There's now a condition red, with the gas posing an immediate danger to health.
New tonight, Uber's policy change. We'll tell you what they won't require from people sexually assaulted or harassed by drivers. Also, attacked at the bank, the search for the person who beat and robbed an 87-year-old man. Plus, turkey trouble. A wild bird takes up residence in a front yard on Staten Island. So why can't the homeowner do anything about it?